Andrea Cameron, your online style maven with Fashion Your Life. Today I'm sharing something a little bit different. It is a video that I created a few months ago, and I'm showing you how to copy an existing pattern from your wardrobe. So if you are a maker, you may already be using patterns and you want to know how to create your own pattern from something that you own, then this is a great video for you to watch. If you already do this kind of thing, there might be some additional tips in there that you find useful, and I would also encourage you to add any additional tips that you have in the comments below so that anybody watching can, get the best of both worlds. And if you do find this video useful, I really appreciate it if you would subscribe, and if there's any questions or comments or clarifications that you want, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to answer. Enjoy the video!
So I start off with the garment nice and flat against my pattern paper and patting it out to make sure it's nice and flat, and then I'm taking a mechanical pencil and I'm just marking all the main intersections of the garment. The armhole is slightly different on the front and back, so I'm tracing both of those. And just a rough, sketchy line. Doesn't have to be perfect. The hem is also slightly different on the front and back, so you see it flipped it up there to trace it on both sides. There I'm just putting pinpoints where the neckline is so that I can draw it when I lift the garment up, using the ruler to draw a nice straight shoulder seam. And then I fold it in half and I'm pinning it together at the major intersections, so the shoulder point, the armhole point, and the hem point. And the reason why I'm doing this is just to balance out the pattern, because when you draw it flat off of a garment, it's not going to be even on each side. Next, this is my tracing wheel. It's a nice sharp little rolly wheel with a handle. So I'm tracing this side of my sketched pattern. I'm gonna flip it over, and then I'm looking at where those traced dots are against the pattern on that side, and I'm finding the happy medium in between all the lines. So they're gonna be slightly off. Some of them are gonna match, but some of them are gonna be slightly off. So it just helps find that perfect balance for your pattern. That way too, when you're tracing it out, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now I do a lot of it by hand. You can use more tools if you would like to draw your lines. And I was just squaring off the neckline there. You do want to square your edges where it meets at a center front or a center back, and where you meet the hem on the side seam. And now I'm just going through and I'm actually double checking my pattern with measurements that I took of the garment before I traced it out. So I'm going to double check measurements like the neck width, the shoulder width, the front neck drop, back neck drop, armhole. And this way it's a good double check, because again, as I said, it's a bit of a rough sketch of the garment on the pattern paper, so this is a way to make sure it's more accurate. That's the armhole drop. So that one I had to adjust slightly. It's an important measurement, and then I had to double check the armhole. The armhole on this one actually measures a bit small on my pattern, but I'm not worried about it because the fabric that I'm making it out of is really stretchy, so it's going to stretch out a bit as I sew it, and it's probably been stretched out because the garment's been well worn. and my length, so I have to add a bit of length here because it's easy for the length to get pulled up when you're tracing the garment. So I have to adjust the front and the back length and then re-square the center front and center back. Nice square corner. My Variform Curve, which is a great tool for pattern making. And here I'm starting to trace out the collar. It's just a simple mock neck collar. But I literally had to do this one 3 times because I messed it up. Before I go to cut it, you'll see I'll do another little adjustment. So here in my head, I was just getting my measurements wrong. You know, the measure twice, cut once? So I'm doing the same thing there. I'm just drawing basically a band that's the height times 2, so that's on a fold, and then I'm drawing the front on one side and the back on the other. Checking my neck circumference against the collar. And this is where I realized, oh wait, I made this way too big. Because I'm making the pattern on the fold, not on the hole. It's just easier to cut a smaller pattern piece. So anytime you can do it on the fold, sometimes it doesn't work, but when you can, it's easier to cut. Use my old lines. And always label your pattern pieces. So here I'm doing seam allowance. So I do a centimeter. I was trained in centimeters. I work in centimeters and inches, but when I'm doing patterns, I like to use centimeters. And I did 2 centimeters for the hem. So here I'm going to pin it together because I'm going to cut. So I'm pinning at all the major intersections before I cut. So I get a nice clean cut and the paper doesn't move around on me and mess up my cut. I like to get rid of excess paper pieces as much as possible when I'm cutting. It just makes it easier to cut. Take the pins out. And I see my allowance for the other neckline. And now I'm tracing the hem over to the other side because one side is different than the other. I can do that for all the areas that are different. Here, you want to just make sure that you have, for this pattern specifically, the front, the armhole, and the hem are all different on the front and back. So you just got to make sure you're getting it, all the front is correct on one side and all the back is correct for the other side. So I just opened it up, drew a line down the middle because that makes it easier to cut. So now I have my 2 pattern pieces. And then I'm trimming off that front neckline. And now that front pattern is finished. Labeling my back pattern piece. Marking the fold. And adjusting the armhole. And adjusting the hem. So it's really important to just look at the differences between the front and the back. You might have a pattern where it's the same. It really just depends on the fit of the garment. There, I was just showing you the differences. Now I'm going back to the collar. Doing my seam allowances and I realized, oh wait a minute, if I'm doing it on the fold, I need to change the shape here. So that's what I'm doing now. Cut away my axis to make it a little bit easier. two pieces apart, folding them the way the collar will be folded. Now I'm just checking the angle against the garment to see if it looks accurate. There's the angle of the pattern, there's the angle.
So that's it for this video. If you have made it this far, thank you. And be sure to subscribe to my channel for any future content that I put out. And as well, if you have learned something from this video, I would love for you to share what that is in the comments below. And again, if you have any additional tips for people watching this video, share those as well. So this is Andrea Cameron, your online style maven, signing off for now.